Hi, everybody. This is Todd Creager. Today, I'm talking to you about healing infidelity from the inside out. That is what I do with the couples and individuals that I see. Healing infidelity from the inside out means that we can't just put band-aids on the situations when there's betrayal of any kind. We need to go deeper. We need to discover what's really going on. It's like having an infection. You don't just throw some alcohol on a wound. If you have a stomach infection, it doesn't on the skin. If you have a stomach infection, it doesn't find its way in. We got to get to where it's really going on. If there's a physical problem for a doctor, sometimes you need an MRI or an X-ray, something like that, because you're trying to look at what's really going on underneath. And so with infidelity, and the way I approach it is the only thing that makes sense is going deeper, like what's really going on underneath. Behavior that happens doesn't happen randomly. It doesn't happen out of the blue. It happens because of underlying factors that come from the immediate environment that a person's living in, and even maybe more importantly, factors that people have internalized from earlier in their lives. And so healing infidelity from the inside out means we have to be willing to reflect deeper on what might be going on with us. And even the person who's been betrayed wants to look inside of themselves and see, well, is this triggering earlier wounds inside of myself? So that if we're trying to heal from infidelity, we really need to go deeper. So I have what I call my relationship repair formula. And the relationship repair formula comes in three stages. The first is discovery. And in discovery, we want to discover what's each person experiencing. Now we got to look inside. A lot of people don't even want to do that. They're just reacting, trying to reduce their tension. So the person who betrayed might want their partner to just get over it, but it's more important for that person to bear the pain of it and look within and discover what is it that I'm experiencing. And also, I need to be curious about what my partner is experiencing, not just try to persuade them I'm going to be a good person now, so just get over it. But what's going on with you? We need to discover what is going on. Um, and the person who was betrayed, as difficult as it is, ultimately needs to be interested and curious about not only what's going on with them, but discover what does it feel like to be their partner. That's hard to do in the beginning because it's hard when you're a victim to think about the other person. I don't expect it with my couples right away, but ultimately we need to look at each other as two human beings that are experiencing something, and what is it? What is it that each person is experiencing? The other part of discovery is what are some of the underlying factors, like I just mentioned when I say healing infidelity from the inside out. We want to discover, well, what is it? As a person who works a lot with trauma, I talk a lot about parts. And some of you may have heard me say this before, but we're not just one entity. We're actually an entity that has parts. There's younger parts of us. There are adult parts of us. There are parts of us that get out there and function in the world. There's parts of us that are wounded, that maybe on some level we've exiled to deep inside of us because it's just hard to deal with it, or we've learned to cope by not experiencing it. So there's many parts, and we need to discover what those parts are. For example, when I work with a couple where there's been infidelity, I'm very interested in the part of that betrayed person that acted out, because most of the people that I see aren't sociopaths. So they come and see me and they go, I don't know why I did that. I messed up my life. I messed up my family. I messed up my relationship. Well, there's a part of them that is feeling that, oh my God, how did I do that? But there's that other part that did it. So what is that part about? We need to discover what that part is about. Just like we need to discover the variety of parts to the person who was the victim of the betrayal, the part that wants to work things out, the part that wants to punish the other person, the part that feels insecure and inadequate. Maybe there's younger parts of that person that felt inadequate when they were younger, and this brought that all up. So it's very important to discover the parts. So we're discovering what each person's experiencing now in the here and now, but also what are the parts of each person, and discover what are some of the underlying issues that have happened that might be contributing to this. And of course, this is something that I do on a daily basis in my work. So, and it works. The second part of the relationship repair formula after discovery is healing, right? So once we discover what it is that's going on, what do we do to heal it? And we want to heal from the inside out. So it helps when we discover what's going on more internally, because now we can try to heal it. Again, just like a doctor would when they've done that MRI, done that X-ray, now they know how to heal, what they got to do to help that person heal physically. So one of the things that I do is I try to help people heal by learning how to communicate deeply and hanging in there with each other and developing the emotional muscle to stay present to each other, even if there's parts of us that want to fight or flight or shut down. So a big part of the healing from the inside out is once we've discovered what is going on and what may have contributed to the problem of the infidelity, what contributed to the person who's betrayed reactions, and we are able to now, since we have more discovery, communicate what is going on with each other, and that communication, being interested, staying present, like I said, developing that muscle to continue to have dialogues, to dialogue about it. It's very important to dialogue about it. Part of the healing is grieving. Part of the healing is grieving the innocence of the relationship. And of course, that is not easy. That I'm just thinking of a couple I'm working with now where she found out in an almost 40-year relationship that her partner cheated, not for many years, but hid it for many years. Cheated very early before they were engaged and also after they were engaged. And it was really difficult for her because she had to grieve how the package of what she thought that relationship was. It wasn't. And in order for her to heal, she needed to discover what was going on with her, what made it tough for her to move on. She had to discover what was going on with her partner. Her partner had to discover what was going on with him. There was definitely some early childhood trauma that we had to work on, and they're able to communicate about it. And so they're in that process right now. The other thing I do with clients is, if need be, I do some trauma repair work. It's part of the healing. And in this couple's case, since I brought them up, I helped him look at some of the early childhood trauma that contributed to an association with sex and the emotion of shame, and how that's part of him acted that out. And I helped her deal with the trauma of the discovery itself. And so that's part of the healing. So communication, communicating what they've discovered, staying connected to each other, understanding the parts, but not letting the younger destructive parts take over the communication, and continuing to heal. And in my approach, I help couples learn how to do that, to get more connected to themselves through the discovery, and then connect with each other, which is part of the healing. And then there's EMDR trauma work. I do EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, that helps people heal from some of the elements of trauma that either contributed to the infidelity itself or has contributed to the difficulty in moving on from it. And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about the healing. The other part of the healing is also recognizing that the healing is not a straight line. you can start to do better, and then there's a trigger, and then it seems to go downhill, but it's not really downhill. It's just part of the process. So part of the healing is learning to understand triggers and how each person, the person who did the betrayal and the person who was betrayed, deals with these triggers in a way that continues to stay keeping them connected, not disconnected. It's really important for the person who betrayed to make room for triggers and to not assume that that person is doing it on purpose. They're not. They get triggered. It's an unconscious response. Now, what do we do about it? How do we deal with that? And again, communication is a part of it. Communication is a part of it. Sometimes problem solving. Maybe there's certain triggers that can be avoided. Oftentimes there's triggers that can, and there's triggers that can't. The triggers that can, you do. Triggers that can't be avoided, you deal with it. And part of the healing then is helping the people recognize that it was a terrible thing, but maybe in some ways our relationship is deeper. Maybe it's more robust. Maybe like if it's this couple, as they heal, see, this guy had to hide so much of who he was with his partner. He doesn't have to do that anymore, And so she's really getting the full him, even though she's had to grieve the innocence that she thought the relationship was in before. So there are advantages. I see couples have more passion. So let me go to the third stage because I'm really kind of it just naturally goes into the third. Right, first is discovery, second is healing, third is makeover. And there's a makeover. This is where we have to create. This is, people say, my wish is that we have what we used to have before, I did my stupid cheating or before my partner discovered I was cheating or both, right? And I go, that won't happen. But like I was just saying, there's a makeover part of this relationship where we're able to actually create a deeper, more mature, more open, more transparent communication between us. We start to look at maybe we avoided certain things that may have helped contribute to the infidelity, maybe not. But we look at what are the parts of our relationship that we ran from or we left behind. And so we're doing like a makeover that so that the relationship is more solid. It's scarred, but as I've said many times, like I have a few scars, not that you could see them, but I'm still beautiful, right? Relationships can be beautiful with scars as long as we do this relationship repair formula of discovery, healing, and ultimately a makeover, recreating a relationship or creating a relationship that in many ways is deeper, more connected, more free than it was before. So that's just the description of how I work with people. I think it is important to go deeper. I've seen couples where they came to see me and they go, "Yeah, I saw a clown therapist, and we talked about it, but it just kept repeating itself. He did it again, or she did it again." And I mean, that could happen with me. I'm not saying it never has, but it happens far less often with me because we're getting to the root, the core issues. We're healing infidelity from the inside out, not just looking good on the outside. Not doing the behavior is great. It's important, to not do the acting out cheating, but it's not the answer. It's not the full answer. We've got to heal from the inside out. So I wanted to share that with you. Thank you for listening. I I want to also say uh, that I would recommend that you click on the link for the infidelity checklist, but also I want you to click on the link to be on the waiting list for my new virtual program, Healing Infidelity from the Inside Out. I'm not quite done with it, but get on the waiting list and you'll get it as soon as it's out. And I think you'll be glad you did. It's an excellent program that I'm excited about. And um, it's, I described in some brief way a little bit of what's on that program. So thanks for listening. This is Todd Creager, making the world safe for love.